The neighborhood looked perfect on the surface. Neatly trimmed lawns, white fences, and a homeowners association that bragged about preserving community values. But behind the manicured hedges lurked something far darker. It all started when Ethan Cole, a quiet ex-Delta Force operative, moved into the cul-de-sac with his 12-year-old daughter, Maya. He had left the military to give her a stable life after losing his wife in a car accident. For the first time in years, he hoped for peace. But the HOA had other plans. The president, Gerald Pike, was the kind of man who thrived on power. He treated the HOA like his private kingdom, bullying families with petty fines, enforcing ridiculous rules, and driving out anyone who didn't bend to his will. Ethan quickly became his target. Why? Because Ethan refused to bow. It began small. Notices about his non-regulation mailbox. Complaints about Maya's basketball hoop in the driveway. Ethan ignored the harassment until one night, things escalated. Maya had stayed late at school for a project. As Ethan waited outside with the porch light on, a knock rattled his door. 2 men stood there in police uniforms. But Ethan's sharp eyes caught what most wouldn't. Their badges were fake, their belts mismatched, their posture sloppy. "Evening, sir," one said gruffly. "We've had reports of disturbances from your property. You'll need to come with us." Ethan's instincts flared. His hand tightened on the doorknob. He could smell the fear radiating off them. Men who had no idea what real authority looked like. "Is that right?" Ethan said coolly. "Then show me your credentials. Full ID. Now." The men stammered. Their act crumbled. Behind their dark glasses, their eyes darted nervously. Ethan stepped forward, towering over them. "I know a fake cop when I see one," he said, voice low but steady. "And I know who sent you. Tell Gerald Pike that intimidation doesn't work on me. Not now. Not ever." The imposters fled into the night. Inside, Maya asked softly, "Dad, what's going on?" Ethan knelt beside her. "Sometimes people try to scare us because they think we're weak. But we're not weak, Maya. We're strong. And we stand together." From that moment, Ethan knew he couldn't just protect his own family. He had to protect the whole neighborhood from the cruelty of Gerald Pike and his HOA goons. The fake cops didn't return, but the harassment doubled. Families whispered about mysterious fines, threats of foreclosure, and even pets disappearing. Gerald Pike was tightening his grip, and the residents lived in fear. But Ethan wasn't the kind of man to sit idle. One afternoon, his neighbor, Mrs. Alvarez, a widowed grandmother raising her 2 grandsons, knocked on his door. Tears streaked her cheeks. "They're threatening to take my home, Mr. Cole. I'm 3 days late on HOA dues because of my medical bills, and now they say they'll evict us." Ethan's jaw clenched. "They won't lay a hand on your home. I promise." Word spread quickly. Families who had been too scared to resist began showing up at Ethan's porch. The Petersons, fined thousands for repainting their garage. The Nguyen's, told to remove their vegetable garden. The Thompsons, bullied for hosting foster kids. Ethan listened to every story. Each one broke his heart and ignited his resolve. That night, he gathered the neighbors in his garage. The smell of oil and old wood filled the air as Ethan stood before them. "I spent years in the Delta Force," he began, his voice steady. "I know bullies when I see them, and Gerald Pike is nothing but a bully in a suit. He hides behind fake authority, but authority only works if we let it. We've been divided, but together we can end this." The neighbors exchanged nervous looks. "But how?" Mrs. Alvarez asked. "He has lawyers, money, the board." Ethan smiled faintly. "So did a lot of enemies I've faced. And they all fell the same way, by exposing their lies." The plan. Over the next week, Ethan used his military precision to gather evidence. He placed discreet cameras on his property, tracked the HOA's financial records, and used contacts from his Delta Force days to verify the fake officers' identities. What he uncovered was explosive. Gerald Pike had been embezzling HOA funds, hiring thugs to pose as security, and threatening families into silence. With proof in hand, Ethan called a community meeting, this time not in his garage, but in the very hall where Gerald loved to flaunt his power. The night of the meeting, Gerald strutted onto the stage, smug as ever. Another round of fines will be issued next week. Compliance is non-negotiable. But Ethan stood, his presence commanding silence. Actually, Gerald, there's something you need to see. The projector flickered on, revealing footage of Gerald's hired imposters, forged signatures, and falsified invoices. Gasps filled the room. You used this community's money for your own greed, Ethan said, his voice echoing. You sent fake cops to intimidate families. You preyed on the vulnerable. But we're not afraid anymore. The room erupted. Cheers, shouts, tears of relief. For the first time, the community stood united. Gerald's face went pale. This is slander. No, Ethan cut him off. This is truth. And the real police are already on their way. As squad cars pulled up outside, Gerald's empire of fear crumbled. The aftermath. In the weeks that followed, the HOA board was dismantled and rebuilt under fair leadership. Families who had lived in fear finally found peace. Mrs. Alvarez kept her home. The Nguyen's expanded their garden. The Thompsons opened their doors to even more foster kids. And Ethan? He didn't just protect his daughter. He helped restore dignity to an entire neighborhood. One evening, as the sun set over the quiet street, Maya hugged her father tightly. You're like a superhero, Dad. Ethan smiled, ruffling her hair. No, sweetheart. I'm just a man who couldn't stay silent when others needed help. That's what real strength is.